Hello guys, welcome back to Chess Academy. So I'm the coach Loon. So today I'm going to talk about the games played by Australia GM, which is Hrant Justin HY, and also the GM come from Armenia, which is Melkumyan Hrant. Yeah, both of them are GM players which rated 2005 and 2006. So today the game is start with e4, c6, d4, d5 is very common way for Caro Kann player. If you know this setup, there's e4, d5, and also c6. It's a very common way setup for Caro Kann. So now there are a lot of ways for white to react, like e5, bishop to d3, and also capture the pawn in d5 also can. But in this game, however, Hrant Justin HY he decided to play for knight to c3 instead of the other move that I suggested just down. So he played knight to c3. Now blacks play d takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop to f5, which try to capture the white knight in e4, knight to g3, attack again on the f5 bishop. The bishop run away by bishop to g6. h4, yeah, h4 is a threat which wants to go to h5 and trap the black's bishop in g6. So black's plays for h6 to prevent the h5. So right now Hrant Justin HY he decide to play for knight to f3. Black's plays knight to d7, which prevent the knight in f3 to go to e5 squares and attack the bishop in g6, and also what we say invade the key squares in the center, so it prevent it. So right now white plays h5, which tries to capture the bishop in g6, bishop to h7, bishop to d3, try to exchange of bishop, which bishop in black has already developed for a couple of moves. So white decided to change the overdeveloped bishop for black with the bishop which developed just now of white. Yeah, so capture. Right now you can see that after e6 played by black, you may see that there is just few pieces developed by black, but for white there is a lot of pieces which is queen, both of the knight had developed in the game. So right now bishop to d2, which allow the castling, the queen side castling in the queen side for white, and also knight g6, queen side castling, bishop e7, and provide a king side castling for black in king side. King to b1, which is a very prophylaxis move to prevent the a2 pawn for drop down. Like if there is some move like queen to a5, try to attack on the a2 pawn, but that is not possible right now because of the bishop to d2, which try to attack in the a5 square. So that's not possible. Maybe there is something like knight to g4, bishop to e3, and queen to a5. Yeah, this is more possible in this case than the previous case like this. So black decided to castling right now, and knight to e4, which tried to invade the knight in f6, and black's plan is try to make the knight full use in the d5 squares, and also both of the knight which can support each other by create lock and key in the game. So right now the main idea for black is to take up the squares in d5 and not exchange for the e4 knight. So right now blacks can play for knight to e4 or the move game played by the player c5. So let's see whether knight to e4 or c5 is the best move. First of all, knight to e4, queen takes e4, knight to f6, try to attack the queen in e4, queen to d2, queen to d5, knight to e5. Yes, it makes white a very good squares in a very good nice squares in e4, e5, e5. So right now, if black plays for queen g2, is a very fatal action which can damage a very fatal decision for black to do. So right now, bishop to h6. If he plays for pawn to h6, oh bye bye, boom. The rook d to g1, which means the king will take up the queen. So it is already a lost game for black. So right now, I don't think that knight takes e4 is a very good choice. But instead of this, we can play for c5. And g4 is the idea for white to play, which tries to open up the position in king side and create a very fast attack in king side too. As you can see that the queen in d3 has already prepared for the queen to h6, queen to h7, and also the knight here is also prepared for the g5 square. So g4 is a very fast move which tries to break up the position like g5, g4. Go to g5, yeah, go to g5 and try to attack the knight and also the pawn, which after exchange also we can break up like h6. Yeah, there are a lot of room for white to in progress. So the knight takes back the g4 pawn, and right now we can't take on the c5 pawn because of after taking knight take, there is a exchange on the knight and also the queen. After knight takes to the pawn in f2, which occur a triple attack on the d1, h1, and also d3 pieces. So right now, after exchange, there are still attack on the bishop. No, not the bishop, the knight, and also the both rooks. So it's a very fatal move for white if we play for pawn takes to d5, pawn takes to c5. Instead of that, white plays for queen to e2, which tries to protect the pawn after to protect the pawn and also grabbing the pawn also. A preparation for white to do so. So right now, queen to b6, knight to e5. Yeah, rook d to g1 is the best move, which tries to attack and also provide a very strong pressure on black, and also however white can also try for knight to e5, which is a suggestion move by engine like Stockfish. Yeah, knight takes, pawn takes, and rook h to g1 plays a very good game, which tries to attack on the king and also bishop to h6. So right now you may see that king to h7 and bishop to c3. As I mentioned in this diagram, bishop to c3, after the knight jump away we can take it, or jump away we can just take the pawn in g7, which is supported by our bishop. So bishop f6 and knight takes, pawn takes, queen to e4, king to h8, queen to f4, which tries to grab on the h6 pawn, king to h7, queen takes to f6, and then the next move for white is checkmate in the what squares, g7 squares. Yeah. So if right now you place for rook to g8, we can play for bishop to g5, and after rook takes, just queen to f7 and check. It's already a mate now because of rooks. There's only a move for black to protect the king, and after that queen to g7 checkmate. So the knight to e5 is a very strong move suggested by Stockfish. However, in this game, Justin Hai, he played for rook d to g1, which is also a very good move. So right now, black plays for f5, which tries to protect the knight in g4 and also attack the knight in e4. So knight to e5. Right now, but Justin just played knight to e5. The Melkumyan Melkumyan Hrant, he was a very strong player, I think. So he plays for knight to d to take on the e5 knight. Yeah, so pawn take, rook to d8, and bishop to c1, which tries to protect the pawn and also give ways for queen to have like f3 pawn. Yeah, like this. So right now he plays for queen rook to f7 and knight to c3. Yeah, knight to c3, which tries on the knight to c3, which tries on the f3. Yeah, f3, and also grab on the h6 pawn. Right now f3 is a threat which is very fatal for black because of the knight cannot move anyway. Like f6 will be grabbed by pawn. Here the e3 will be grabbed by the queen. h2 will be grabbed by the rook. f2 will be grabbed by the queen. So f3 is now a threat. So queen to a6, queen e1, queen to c6, rook to h3, which tries on the also conduct the plan of f3, b5, f3. Yeah, we conduct the plan. b4, just take and take, pawn take, rook take again, queen to b5. Now I suggested a move. Well, when I'm analyzing this game, I try for queen to g3, but then I just found out that this is a very fatal condition for me to play for queen to g3 because of there's a queen f1, very brilliant move for queen f1, and rook d1 is now coming on target and tries to evade my 8 rank very quickly and fast, and I can't even make any progress on the king because he has a rook to protect the king, and also maybe he will play for bishop to g8. Not bishop to g8, bishop to f8, protect the pawn in g7, and also tries to take out the rook in f7 to come to f1. And yeah, by the support of the d1 rook and also queen to maybe h1, a lot of threat can be done by black to online c1 squares bishop. So it's a very fatal to play for queen to g3. So right now in this game, Justin Tan, he's very brilliant and a GM, so he plays for rook to g1. The rook to g1 also prevents black from the rook to f1. Yeah, it really prevents. So right now he Melkumyan Hrant, he plays for bishop, not bishop, king to h8, which prevent from the pin and also the grabbing of a pawn in h6. Right now queen to g3, which tries to go to queen to g6, bishop to f8. Yeah, Justin Tan play for b3 for prophylaxis purpose, and queen to e2, queen to g6, rook to f1, rook takes, queen takes, rook to d3, rook takes, pawn takes, queen to f5, queen takes, pawn takes, and it's a game which, as you calculate the pieces on the board, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also a bishop versus a bishop. It's very equal, right? But it doesn't seem that it's very equal because of if you cut out the board from queen side and also king side, you may see that white has a majority pawn in queen side, but black has a majority pawn in king side. A deeper analysis, the pawn in for black is on black squares more than white squares, but the pawn in for white is white squares more than black squares. It shows a signal that white can evade or just hide up the attack caused by black because of a lot of pawn in white squares. The black bishop cannot attach to our pawn in white squares, but our bishop in black squares can attack the pawn in black squares too. So it's a very not a very good way for black to conduct to this endgame because of it is very dangerous for him to do this. So now right now black's plans to develop his pawn in king side since he has a majority of pawn. So he plays for g5, and h6 g6 is not a good move, since as you can see that it allows two pass pawn for black to go through the h file and also the f file. So it's not a good way. However, king to c3 plays a good role. King to c3, f4, king to c4, try to get to e6, and also or maybe c6, b7, which tries to control more squares. King to g7, king to d5, king to f7, yeah, a3. Right now white tries to take out his pawn and create a pawn storm, and also create pass pawn in queen side, since he has the majority pawn in queen side. Bishop to e7, bishop to d2, f3. Yeah, f3 is a good move, right? Bishop e3, g4. Bishop f2 is necessary if you don't go for bishop to f2 after bishop to h4. There is a very fatal, which is f3, and you can stop the f1 queening. Yeah, so bishop f2, bishop g4, bishop g5. So right now, yeah, black tries to bishop to f4 and also g3. So right now queen to e4 is necessary to prevent the bishop to f4. King to e6, I think yes, yeah, b4, pawn takes, bishop come back, d4. And in this case you can see that the pawn in the center is better than the pawn in other rank. So right now b5, yeah, b5 is a very good move. As you can see that if we play for any move like d5, yeah, just we need to grab the pawn, the bishop here. But with the move b5, we don't need to grab on the bishop. It's not a forced trade, so the bishop can't run away. Just play for d5, come back, and bishop grab the pawn. Bishop to e1, bishop to c5, king to d8, king to e3. Yeah, that's the end of game. Since if you see that after f2, we can go for king to e1, g3 right here, and we has already control all squares. Yeah, so the bishop and the pawn, which has many chances and compensative, can promote to queen in this square, either this square, or this square. So right now let's finish the game. After king to e3, backplay for bishop to h4, b6, bishop to g5, king to f4. Yeah, just prevent the bishop f4 move. Like, yeah, it causes a lot of worries for white. And bishop to h4, bishop to e3, bishop to g5, bishop here, pawn here. Yeah, just d6 and b7. That is the end of the game, since black cannot stop the white from queening. So Melkumyan Hrant just resigned, and Justin Tan won the game. Yeah, this is the game occurred in April 2021. I hope you guys learned something about Caro Kann, e4, c6, Caro Kann, and learn some tactics and also idea like g4. G4 is ideal. The g4, where is the g4? Let me see. G4 here. The g4 idea, leverage through. It is necessary for all chess players to know how to conduct a plan and carry out a plan to win a game. Yeah, systematically. So thank you for watching my channel. If you like this video, please subscribe and like and share for me. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.